Hey everyone, Pan Bam Richard here, and welcome to the finale of the Bomberman Hero playthrough. Unfortunately, this will be a post-commentated episode because for some reason my recording equipment decided to glitch up the audio, as you might hear throughout this recording here. But we are now heading into Garaden Star, and we will be going through a gauntlet of boss fights. So, unlike Mega Man games or something of the same ilk, essentially the boss that you fight in each room, they're pretty much the same bosses that you fought previously, but they all come with like new patterns. So we'll be facing the same bosses that we've encountered in the previous levels, and they will all have new patterns to sort of adjust to, sans one, which will be pretty obvious once we get to that boss. But as you can see here, we are now witnessing the rebirth of Bagular, also known as Bagular, according to the new Bomberman Switch game on the Nintendo Switch. Redundancy at its finest. But yeah, I don't really know much about this guy because my Bomberman history doesn't really involve the games that he's in outside of Bomberman Jetters, but he's pretty much as close to a Bowser as you can get in the Bomberman franchise as far as I know, because he first debuted in Super Bomberman 3, as well with some other games thereafter, including the recent Switch game. And yeah, again, he's pretty much the closest that we can get to like a main villain in the Bomberman series. He even showed up in the Bomberman Jetters anime, if I recall. And he even leaves the he get bandits or something along those lines. But yeah, so we're gonna be learning here right now from Bagular himself that he has revived all of the bosses that we have encountered throughout this game. And as I mentioned before, they all have their own little patterns and whatnot that are different from when we initially encountered them. So we run into some very interesting scenarios here with these boss fights, and this is still my live recording that I'm using the footage for. And essentially what I'm trying to do is aim for the target rank 5 each time, but I highly doubt that's going to be the case personally. Right over here we have Endol. Endol's target score is 7.5k points. Essentially he has 2 attacks here, as well as a bunch of other bosses we'll be running into throughout this planet. Basically he either shoots 3 orbs of lightning towards you that you can like outrun, or he can cause the entire field to damage you unless you jump. So those are the 2 attacks there. Really, once you learn the whole orb dodging thing, which really nice damage there, which really isn't that hard. The only other thing that may prove to be a bit of a challenge to understand is the whole by the way, nice 20 points off of rank 5, but the only other attack that was really a bit of a nuisance was the whole like field damage thing, the entire field covered in electricity. But other than that, unfortunately no 5 rank, but the next boss here we have here is Baruda. Baruda's rank 5 is 6.5k points. He just dives towards you and then he inflates. Really, the whole shtick to this battle is to try to attack while he's not inflated. And when he would inflate, he would generally be like away from the battlefield, but for some reason, during the time of the live recording, he managed to be in my field of mobility, so he was able to take advantage of that and fire at me quickly without me being able to use the space properly to avoid his like laser beam there. But yeah, that's pretty much the shtick of most of these boss fights here, like these rematches. Honestly, it's just like redoing like just 2 attacks that are repeated over and over again. But the thing is here, with this recording, I think I got really reckless here, if I recall correctly. I mean, we could all chalk it up to the recording curse or something, but thankfully, because of how generous this rank 5 target score is, we managed to get it just fine. So boss 3 is now Cronus. Yes, Cronus on his own without Nadia. This one is a bit of a hassle, because most of the time you're just waiting for Cronus to sort of reappear from the lava whenever he submerges. The target score for this is 6k points, and yes, a lot of this is waiting. And if you constantly throw bombs while it's like submerging or re-emerging from the lava, then essentially like you would delay the time for him to like be vulnerable to your bombs while he's not submerged in the lava there. But as you can see there, he pretty much only has the 2 attacks there. The one with the laser that you see there, ultimately he fires the laser straight forward from wherever he's staring, and then he like swings it towards whatever direction you're near. And essentially, like, the tail is just here the second laser sound effect in order to jump. But keep this tactic in mind for the future, because we'll definitely be seeing that in a boss fight very soon. But yeah, his other attack, like, see, there's an example right there where I tried to like throw a bomb early to get some extra damage, but unfortunately the AI was smart enough to not submerge from the lava there. So that's something you also have to be, like, this boss fight, now that I'm looking at it in retrospect, like, now that I'm looking at it again, it does teach you a lot about, like, another boss fight that we'll be facing later on in the future here. Unfortunately, we really didn't do so well in this fight. We only got a 4 rank, which is unfortunate, but, you know, whatever. There's a reason why I grinded a lot for this boss fight, or for this entire area, as you might have noticed at the start of this recording, that I have 2 additional life points at the top left corner. In other words, I grinded 400 gems, and as well, I managed to grind a couple lives as well. So with that in mind, we are now going to be facing off with Nitros. Nitros here will be having all of his components that he has acquired throughout the game, except for how he handles the red bombs. Instead of it being a lime bomb, which in my opinion is a lot more difficult to avoid, he instead does rolling bombs. I decided to take the hit here and lose a life, so that way I could like restore my health here. You'll see why later on once we finish this boss fight. But yeah, Nitros has all of his elements over here of attack. He has his icicles, he has his ring of fire, he has his barricade, he has his disc, and he has his red bombs, which are rolling in this battle. He's not showing it off yet here. And unfortunately, because I do not have my 4 max power for my firepower, I can't get that many pot shots in after he finishes landing from his jump. So it's gonna be a little bit more of a hassle. I know previously in this playthrough, there's the 4 rolling bombs, by the way. I know previously in this playthrough I said 3 firepower is best, but after I started playing more of this game, I understood the value of the 4 ranked fire. And you know, you learn things every now and then whenever you replay games. So, and this was one of those cases. As you can see here, I'm being pretty reckless, and again, I'll explain why later on. So, I mean, ultimately, I'm just trying to, like, get the 5 rank here, and we did manage to get it. The target score was 6k points, so we're definitely a little bit over that. So, thankfully, we got ourselves another rank 5 here in this area. So, also, when I was younger, I very much liked Nitros, and I liked his design, I liked his battle theme. Like, I've always looked forward to the fights because he was pretty much the rival of the game. But his backstory, his reveal as to who he is a little bit underwhelming. Yes, he is in fact a bomber-based trainee. Now, looking at this, I'm like, how did he suddenly learn how to use red bombs? Like, he could use lime bombs and have the, like, red bombs activated. I'm like, man, if this is a trainee, then what does that make Bomberman? And here Nitro says that he will share his power with us. At first, I thought this was going to be, like, red bombs, but what he actually does for you is fully restore your health and also restore your bomb and fire power-ups to its max level. So, this is pretty much the last we will see of Nitros in this game, which, again, a bit of an underwhelming reveal as to who he is, but whatever. If you're looking for plot in a game like this, then don't expect much. But with that, we are now halfway through Area 1 of Bagular. And we'll be now going against Bomberman, and this is actually interesting because we are now in the Bomberman, the true final Bomberman level, which is more so a boss fight. So Bomberman's weak point is still his blue gem on his forehead, and the strategy here is to constantly swim forward while avoiding the missiles that Bomberman shoots towards you, and at the same time, while you're dodging them, you hold the bomb to perform rolling bomb attacks to increase the odds of hitting Bomberman there. So in this case, we're now going to be going backwards, so employing the same strategy and just doing the rolling bombs backwards. I find going backwards much more faster than much more easier than going forwards. Because you can actually see the trajectory of the missiles a lot better, at least in my opinion. I do get reckless in this fight because the target score for this is 5.5k, and normally I would get it in any other condition, but of course this is a live recording. I tend to choke quite a bit, so whatever. We're gonna still try to like get that 5 rank right over here, but you can see my recklessness begins to show and not really prove helpful in the long run here, especially this shot here. I should have just like went downwards for that, but unfortunately I just kind of just like panicked a little bit after the 2 points of damage that I took. 3 points now at this point, but thankfully we were able to kill Bomberman. Unfortunately we did not get the 5 rank, but you know, it is what it is. I tend to choke quite a bit, don't I? Alright, next boss fight is the worst boss fight in the entire game in my opinion. We have here Nadia, which is a 7k target score to get the rank 5, which is ridiculous because you have 2 characters to watch out for. One that tosses the knives, the other one that tosses the whip. Like, that's already a bit of a challenge in itself. But the biggest thing that makes this battle irritating is the Cronuses, the small Cronuses that fall from the sky there, because they're pretty much RNG. Like, I tried to, like, find a pattern or something along those lines, but they just drop randomly. At first, I thought they would only drop in the, like, pink area in the middle there, but no. There'd be some points where they would, like, fall on, like, right there. It falls right on top of your head, and it's just, this boss fight is ridiculous. Honestly, the notes that I had for this boss fight was just survive in, like, all caps, because, like, there's no way you can properly prepare for this. Like, okay, I managed to kill one of them, but we've already, like, way past the whole, like, rank 5 threshold right there, but we managed to do pretty well in that live recording in hindsight. But now that we finish off Nadia, we are now going off against Bagular here, the final boss of the main campaign of this playthrough. Now, as you might have noticed, in between some boss fights, I do go back to grind and restore some health and whatnot. That's because, you know, I really want to try to get, like, I really wanted to get as many 5 ranks as I could in the live recording. Unfortunately, we couldn't really get there, but we'll see how well we'll do against Bagular here. The target score is 1,000 points to get the 5 rank for this battle. Reason why is because he has 3 phases, and phases 1 and 3 are pretty interesting to go through. It's all about patterns and being how quick you can react to Bagular here. His first phase here, he basically just dashes towards you, and if you gotta keep a certain distance for him to maintain dashing towards you, because if you go too far, then he will teleport. And after he teleports, he would sometimes toss like these flame shockwaves towards you as well. So pretty much this is the whole gist of it. Just make sure that he dashes towards you and then try to like aim. Unfortunately, I did not do so well in my initial recording here, and if you constantly throw bombs while he's in the whole teleportation phase, then he will constantly teleport still, and you can't damage him while he teleports. So that's one of the things that you learn from the Cronus battle that you could apply to this boss fight, which I very much appreciate, like, game design that teaches you how to be patient when you need to be. Unfortunately, he did manage to get a teleportation right there, and I wasted about like 500 points of time to get 1 extra hit, which is unfortunate, but you know, I don't know how many times I could attribute it to live recording, or I just did. Whatever you like to prefer, whatever story you like better. But phase 2 here, if you thought RNG hasn't left you, RNG is still here. Basically, you gotta destroy the monitor that is the real Bagular. If you don't get the real Bagular, then, you know, it'll just phase through just like that. And yeah, it's pretty much a guessing game. I don't know if there are any tells or anything like that. I keep looking back at the footage, like hoping that there would be some sort of tell to know which one is the real Bagular. I got lucky with that shot there. Like, honestly, just like pick a monitor and pray and hope that you get like the correct Bagular monitor to damage, because like this is just really irritating. And another thing that also comes to mind is that like normally I would like go close to the monitor and destroy it if like I had a level 1 firepower, but you definitely need your firepower maxed out in order to beat the rest of this boss here. And that was a pretty good phase too, not gonna lie. But the final phase here is when Bagular finally comes into place with this like random tank, and as well, this tank is equipped with a force field a la Bomberman and 2 arms that do 2 different attacks. You have to damage the arms first before you get to Bagular. The arms are basically what keeps the force field going. So my strategy here is to constantly move towards the right, because the claw has an easy to avoid attack compared to the laser there, which pretty much emulates the Cronus laser, except it's much more faster in activation, and it reaches pretty far. Like, it swings towards the right and it moves towards the left. So that's why you always move towards the right to try to get him to get the claw going. But in this run, I ended up like getting the laser like 4 times in a row here. I've never had that happen in like a previous run whenever I would practice. As you can see here, each time that I would like whenever an attack animation is finished, I would like go and take a throw a bomb at the arms there. So it looks like we'll be able to get this second arm off very shortly here. And the final part of this phase, he just fires the missiles at you while shooting these pellets at you from its main cannon in the front there. So now you can see why it's 1000. It's definitely doable. Unfortunately, I don't reach the rank 5 of this, the rank 5 in this live recording, so I just thought it'd be best to be reckless for the rest of this fight here, because whatever, I already screwed up the rank 5 anyway, so it doesn't matter how much damage I take at this point. And the tank does take quite a bit of damage still. Like, you need to like hit it, I believe, maybe 8 more times, so it's like 8 times per arm and 8 times for the main tank here. But that's pretty much the boss fight and the end of Bomberman Hero's main campaign with the lousy one, but you know, what can you do? So now with that out of the way, yeah, that's pretty much it. Ultimately, I mean, is there really much else to comment about this plot? Anything special that's gonna come out of nowhere? Well, here it is. 3 pink bombs. Bomberman doesn't live in the end. It's over. Like, you know, we all thought that, like, Hudson would take the regular route and keep Bomberman alive, but he couldn't escape. There's no possible way that that hero can escape from that explosion. Like, look at that, it engulfs the entire thing. There's no cutscene. Except for a random... Apparently, Piebot was able to get Bomberman out of there in time with no explanation whatsoever. And seeing that bronze medal still hurts. But, yeah, so... For some reason, Bomberman was able to escape that in time. Maybe Piebot was just there and instantly reacted right away upon seeing the pink bombs. But you saw that explosion. 3 of those engulfed the entire screen, like the entire planet. But whatever. Why would we analyze logic at this point for a game like this? If you're really worried about plot for this game, I can't say this. I've said this far too many times. You pretty much get the point. And, you know, the usual happy ending. You know, hero gets the kiss, all that stuff, you know, a la Mario 64. But instead, Bomberman has the hard eyes, a la Kirby 64, so 2 Nintendo properties referenced here, essentially. And apparently Piebot envies Bomberman. I didn't even know, like, robots can actually have feelings. Depends on your material of reference. But, yeah, nice ending. Bomberman just gets a kiss. Very standard, very generic, it is what it is, but... You're here to play the game. You're here to play Bomberman. You're here to play Bomberman's first platforming foray, like with him actually jumping. Speaking of jumping, the other Bomberman clearly did not take from White Bomberman's example, and they don't know how to bend their feet. Like, I remember seeing this again, like, wow, this is like unbelievably lazy. Like, they don't even bend their feet. They could, like, the thing is, like, they're all bombers too. You think they like share the same jumping animation as like Bomberman would, at least for his legs to like crouch whenever he land, but they're just stationary models going up and down. That's like the epitome of lazy right there. But you know, it's a Nintendo 64 game. I mean, I could use that as an excuse, but I don't know. Whatever, it's done. Bomberman 64. Bomberman Hero is complete with a nice little remix of one of the main themes of this game, and it's a very nice remix too. Shoutouts to Jun Chikuma, who is the composer of this game. I really very much enjoyed this soundtrack, and she even has like her own SoundCloud that has the Bomberman Hero soundtrack on there, as well as a couple other tracks that she contributed to in the Bomberman franchise. But yeah, I very much enjoyed this game. Again, I remember when I first got this game back when I was like 10 or 12, I remember having mixed feelings upon seeing it. I thought like my dad's coworker had like Bomberman 64 and I was so excited to get it for $10, but instead I had this game and I was a little bit uneasy. But then when I finally played through it and gave it some more time, it eventually grew on me, and I enjoyed it. Like, even though the platforming controls, the mechanics are a little bit off sometimes, they seem a little bit stiff and not as, like, easy to maneuver around like Mario 64. It's still a fun platformer in its own right. There are some interesting game design choices I like the whole, you know, collecting and exploring to get all of the items within the one condensed stage as opposed to like getting the free roaming and whatnot you would see in like games like Mario 64. Like sometimes I just want to go through like a 3D like world and just like explore each level one by one. But yeah, I still like coming back to this game every now and then just to like play through it and 5 rank everything and just sort of give myself a bit of a challenge. It's one of those underrated like Bomberman games that like people tend to overlook because of the jarring fact that Bomberman can jump and it doesn't have multiplayer or things like that. But you know, that's why it made me all the more surprised when this game got the Virtual Console release first, before Bomberman 64 got its release literally like a couple months ago, like right after the Switch came out. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Bomberman Hero playthrough. For those who have joined me along this ride, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, take care.